Hello everyone, it's my pleasure to be here today, and it is our first lesson. We're going to talk about the topic, the dawn of man, and we're going to explore some questions like how did humans live before civilizations, and how did civilization develop? So the first thing we're going to talk about is the hominids. Everything begins 10 million years ago. A kind of creature, we're not sure what it is exactly, but anyway, this creature evolved and developed into two kinds of organisms, chimpanzee and hominids. Now we can see chimpanzee in the zoo, and they are very similar to us humans, because according to archaeological evidences, hominids is actually the species that finally evolved into us humans. And we can say that chimpanzee share the same root with us. So the first hominids found is called Sahelanthropus in Africa. Archaeologists found a skull. And indeed, hominids is very important since it's our only human ancestor. And we're going to talk about a bit more about hominids. So these hominids, they usually live in forests, where they can hide away from their predators. But then, at a certain point in time, a group of hominids decided to walk out of the forest and into the savannas, where they can find nuts and berries and where they can scavenge. Not long after these hominids get to the savannas, they learn how to use tools, and that is a very, very important turning point in history. That is actually how we humans are different from wild animals. And a famous movie, 2001, A Space Odyssey, vividly depicts this transformation for us. Well, in the movie, it is the bone. In actual history, it is the stone. The first tool that hominids used is stone. This period is called the Paleolithic Age, which means the Old Stone Age. After these hominids learned how to use tools, they started to get better and better at using tools. The most primitive way is to use raw stone and to hunt and cut. Then they learned how to sharpen these stones by colliding them, and they later used these stones to construct spears and other handy weapons. With these handy weapons, they can hunt larger animals, and larger animals is a more reliable food source. So they do not have to worry about food anymore, and their population skyrocketed quickly. Meanwhile, a biological improvement also takes place. After generations of natural selection on the savannas, hominids' walking ability is starting to get better and better. And this improvement finally led to the famous out-of-Africa migration. This is a map of the out-of-Africa migration. Now, the hominids are walking out of Africa into the grand world, adapting to new environments and becoming new species. Among those hominids that get into new environments, an interesting group is the Neanderthals in modern-day Europe. They seem to be somewhat different from other primitive hominids. They seem to develop some kinds of culture and some kinds of civilizations. The first thing they got is communication, because they're super extra outstanding at hunting large animals, so that they seem to know how to cooperate with each other. Although later research showed that they cannot actually talk, but hand gesture is still a possible explanation. The second thing is burials. They seem to have burials. Well, if it's because of the health condition that they put the corpses under the ground, that is reasonable. But another possible theory is that they put the corpses under the ground to show respect to the deceased. But this one is pretty amazing, because at such a primitive stage of time, they can already feel some emotions that is absolutely not normal back then. And the final one is pretty obvious. They are good at using fire. The Homo sapiens. This is believed to be the most successful group of hominids that walk out of Africa. They just walk more efficiently, and they got a bigger brain, and etc., etc. But the most important two characteristics of hominids are languages and arts. Not like the Neanderthals. Homo sapiens' characteristics are all biological. Their brain is advanced enough to be able to let them have a kind of simple language. They can literally talk, actually. And the brain is large enough, is big enough to be able to let them think and pursue something else, rather than simply staying alive and searching for food. That is actually how arts came. And I think, Homo sapiens are pretty obvious. Eventually, Homo sapiens and the Neanderthals met in Europe. And for some reasons, Neanderthals just disappeared. We cannot be sure what is the exact reason why, but there indeed are three theories. The first one is the Neanderthals and Homo sapiens had a fight, and Neanderthals was defeated. The second one is because Homo sapiens had a bigger brain and they are just more intelligent, so the Homo sapiens just steal all the resources away from the Neanderthals, and the Neanderthals is extinct. The final theory is that these two groups get along well, and they started to have marriages. And finally, all the Neanderthals traits merged into the Homo sapiens. After the out-of-Africa migration and these things going on, there's a great climate change on Earth, and that is the Ice Age. The Earth now is in the Ice Age. The global temperature drops, but that actually produced the condition for some large animals to live. And again, with large animals, means reliable food source. But after the Ice Age, there is a problem now. Like, all the large animals just extinct. So how are humans getting food now? The answer is settled agriculture. So the Neolithic Revolution happens after the Ice Age, which refers to the process of humans transforming from hunter-gatherer to settled agriculture. This is another great turning point in history. is actually the foundation of later civilization, of later human culture. So settled agriculture provides even more reliable food sources, and actually humans learned another practical skill, raising livestock. And all these things combined together, forming later towns, cities, and different jobs. Human now is developed. They have a full self-awareness and even more advanced desires. And arts also started to develop at this time. Finally, here's a timetable for you.